Thank you and welcome to this first demo of VLANs. So today we are going to use the command line interface to make this video and to create this infrastructure that you have on screen there. So the infrastructure we're going to build, uh, as you can see, is made of three VLANs. The executive VLANs, which is going to have the VLAN ID of 51. It will use the address space of 172.22.50.0/24. We will assign to that VLAN three ports, the ports 1, 2, and 3. And the SVI, or the gateway for that VLAN, is going to be 172.22.50.254. Then we will create a VLAN for the marketing department. We will give it the ID of 151. That VLAN will use the address space 10.10.10.0/24. We will assign 6 interfaces to that VLAN, and the SVI for that VLAN is going to be 10.10.10.254. The third VLAN is going to be for the sales department. We will give it the VLAN ID of 1051, an extended VLAN. That VLAN will be using the address space 192.168.180.0/24. We will assign it 6 interfaces, and the SVI or gateway for that VLAN will be 192.168.180.254. So all these VLANs will be created inside Cisco 3650 48 port switch that we have here in our lab. You can look on internet to see how it looks like. And we gave an IP address to the management interface of that switch so that we can connect to it from this laptop and do the demos and do the configuration. So let us connect to that switch right now. Then we type our credentials. That's the switch we are connected to. That's where we're going to do our demos. So if we want to see the VLANs that we have in our switch, we type the command show VLAN brief. And as you can see, we have only the 5 default VLANs that we spoke in the previous video. That is the VLAN 1, where all the ports, or the 48 plus 4 ports, are members. All of them are members by default to VLAN 1. This VLAN here. Then we have the VLAN 1002, 1003, 1004, and 1005. Those VLANs that are used for FDDI and token ring. Excuse me. Of course, we cannot delete those VLANs. VLAN 1 we can configure it, but we cannot delete it. That's what we explained previously. So let us create these VLANs in this environment. We go to global configuration, and we tell the switch, create VLAN, create a VLAN, give it the ID of 51, and call it executives. That's all we have to do, and the VLAN is created. Now we say create another VLAN, give it the ID of 151 and call it marketing. It's created. Then create the last VLAN, give it the ID of 1051 and call it sales. Now if we go and check the VLANs that exist in our switch, show VLAN brief, you will notice that in addition to our default VLAN 1, we now have VLAN 51 and 151. And at the bottom here, we have the VLAN for the sales department, which is 1051. Something that I want you to remember is that these VLANs, when we create them, they will be stored in a file that is in the flash. The flash is the hard drive of a switch, right? So if we say dear flash to see the content of a flash, you will notice this file, VLAN.dat. That's where all the VLANs we create are stored. Very important to know. Now, we have created our VLANs, but as you can see, there is no ports that is assigned. Let's go and assign the ports. We go to global configuration. If you look at our diagram here, you will see that the executive department or VLAN is using port 1, 2, and 3. So let us make port 1 member of the VLAN 51. Interface gig 101. And we will say switch port access VLAN 51. You remember these modes that we explained in the previous video? So we're making a port here, an access mode port, so that it can be used for only one VLAN. Let us see another way of doing this, because if we have to go on a per port, that would take time. We can group the ports and assign at once. We have already assigned 101. Let us do 102 and 103 at once. We say interface range gig 102 to 3 and switch port access VLAN 51. If we look at the VLAN situation, show VLAN brief, you can see now that VLAN 51 has ports that are assigned. These ports have been removed from the pool of ports belonging to VLAN 1 and sent to VLAN 51. Because in access mode, a port can be member to only one VLAN, not more than one VLAN. Good to know. So let us go back to global configuration and assign the other ports the way we have them on the design here to the appropriate VLANs. Let us start by marketing. Interface range gig 1037. Because we're going to skip some ports in between, we have to list all the ports that we want to group. Comma, gig 1039, gig 1041, gig 1043, gig 1045, and gig 1047. And we tell the switch, make these ports member of VLAN 151. That's it. Now let us do the sales department. Interface range gig 1026 then 1028, then 1030, then 1032, then 1034, and lastly 1036. And we tell the switch, make these ports member of VLAN 1051. Now, if we go and check the VLAN situation, you will see that executives has its own 3 ports, marketing has its 6 ports here, and sales has its ports as well. If we consider this configuration, we can understand that the broadcast domain of executive has only 3 interfaces. The broadcast domain of marketing has 6 interfaces. And the broadcast domain of the sales has 6 interfaces. All the other ports still belong to VLAN 1. So if a device in the executive sends a broadcast, only 2 computers are going to be concerned because the packet doesn't go back to where it comes from. We call that split horizon. Next videos we'll talk about that. If the marketing department has a device that sends a broadcast, only 5 devices are going to receive that broadcast. This reduces the noise in our environment and it separates our physical switch into logical switch. So executive is now like a virtual switch, marketing like a virtual switch, sales like a virtual switch. So this is splitting traffic on layer 2. When we're done with this, we now have to create the door if we want a device in marketing to be reached from outside. We need a SVI. We go in global configuration mode, and for the executive we will say interface VLAN 51. It turns this into a virtual interface, and we give it an IP address now, which is IP address 172.22.50.254, and the mask, because it says /24. Let us create the SVI for the marketing interface VLAN 151. IP address is 10.10.10.254, the mask. And let us create the last SVI 1051. The IP address is going to be 192.168.180.254, and the mask 0. If we look at the interfaces that have been created that are operating in our switch, show IP interface brief, you can recognize these SVIs now. You can recognize them. So this is going to be the doors that can be configured to reach inside our VLANs. Before we make it work, let's see, I'm going to turn this laptop into an executive laptop. I'll give it the IP address of 172.22.50.3 because we have .1 and .2 that are already created. I'll connect it to interface 3 of the switch. And you will see that I can reach, you know, the two other laptops, but I cannot reach the marketing. And we will see how we can make this happen. So let us exit here first. Let's go to the network configuration of my laptop. This is supposed to be known. First of all, I will unplug this to gain time, and I will plug, the port 3 of my switch. And you're going to see how this is going to change. There you go. It's identifying. In the same time, let me configure it. So I'm going to change this IP 172.22.50.3. The mask is going to be here, .0. And the default gateway, which is my SVI, is going to be 172.22.50.254. First thing that we have to check here is, of course you can see, but we have to check it too. Are we able to ping our default gateway, which is the SVI ping 172.22.50.254. The answer is yes, we can ping our gateway. Can we ping the other laptop? .1? Yes, we can ping it. Can we reach the .2? Yes, we can reach it. Question now, can we reach the marketing SVI, which is 10.10.10.254? Yes, we can reach it. Now, can we reach the laptop there? .1? Not really. Not really. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to send a permanent ping here, and we're going to fix this reachability. But at least you can see here that these departments are isolated. Executive cannot reach marketing, but all these devices are configured in the same switch. So let us do a permanent ping here. And we'll leave this guy here. Let us connect to our SVI 50.254. And we can connect to the switch. Remember? So I'm going to shift this guy here. As you can see, the ping to 10.1.1, 10.10.10.1 does not go through. But here, let's see, ping 10.10.10.1. Here, as you can see the exclamation point here, it means the switch can reach that device. But my executive laptop cannot reach it. Let us raise our switch to layer 3 so that it can permit the routing between the VLANs. Only one command is necessary for this. Let's see, do we have the routes? Show IP routes. This is what we have. We have the routes, but the switch cannot operate. Let us then go on global configuration mode and say IP routing. This is going to turn the switch into the router. And Keep an eye on the permanent ping. You see, now from my laptop in executive, I can see the devices in marketing. This is thanks to the SVI because we have these doors that permit the communication from one VLAN to another. So this is the demo that I wanted to do here and share with you. We have created this infrastructure with three VLANs, three networks separated using the same switch, and now being able to route from one department to the other. If we don't want a VLAN to be reached, we just remove the SVI, and that will isolate the VLAN. In the next video, we're going to build the same infrastructure using the web GUI. And I hope you will see the difference and how fun, how cool it is to use the web GUI. If you have a question, let me know. Leave a comment below, and I'll be very happy to reach back to you. Until next video, take care, and thank you for watching.